Many are asking themselves, are we witnessing the fulfillment of ancient prophecies? In the midst of global conflicts, epidemics, earthquakes and crises without parallel in history, the question arises, what is the true meaning of these events? Among all the books of the Bible, Revelation stands out as one of the most enigmatic and impactful. Its pages reveal visions of great destruction, disorder, and divine judgment. The text deals with themes such as the antichrist, the mark of the beast, and cataclysmic events that will transform the world, culminating in the final fate of humanity. Many wonder whether we are already witnessing the beginning of these prophecies or whether they are still awaiting fulfillment. Today, we are going to explore the most impactful prophecies of the apocalypse, analyzing their profound meanings and their possible connections with our contemporary reality. I invite you to join us on this journey of discovery into the biblical scriptures and the revelations of the last times. Reflect with us. Do you believe that we are living in the final period of history? Get ready for a journey that could transform your perspective on the fate of humanity. In chapter 6 of Revelation, we find one of the most striking passages in the scriptures, the opening of the 7 seals. Each seal reveals a prophetic event, the first 4 of which are particularly significant, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. They symbolize conquest, war, famine, and death, bringing great devastation to the earth. The first horseman appears on a white horse, carrying a bow and receiving a crown representing domination and conquest. Several scholars interpret this figure as the Antichrist, who will appear with promises of peace but will bring destruction. Next comes the second rider on a red horse, wielding a great sword with the mission of eliminating peace from the earth. This figure represents conflict and bloodshed on a global scale. The third horseman rides a black horse and carries a scale, symbolizing food shortages, periods of inflation, and widespread suffering for people. Finally, the fourth rider emerges on a greenish-yellow horse. Known as Death, followed by Hades, he is given the power to exterminate a quarter of the Earth's population through wars, famine, disease, and wild animals. We have to wonder, are these horsemen already at work? We live in a time marked by constant conflicts, food insecurity, pandemics, and unprecedented global threats. Could these be the first signs of the end? We look forward to your comments and reflections. Now, let's explore the next impactful prophecy of the apocalypse. If the horsemen of the apocalypse have already brought devastation, the following events are even more impactful. Chapter 8 of Revelation reveals an extraordinary moment. 7 angels sound their trumpets, initiating a series of supernatural catastrophes that will transform the earth. At the sounding of the first trumpet, a supernatural rain of fire mixed with blood devastates the earth's vegetation, consuming a third of the trees and all the undergrowth. The magnitude of this destruction is unimaginable. Imagine vast areas of forest reduced to ash, agricultural fields destroyed, and an environmental impact unprecedented in history. With the second trumpet, a colossal burning object similar to a mountain plunges into the oceans. The consequences are devastating. A third of the marine waters turn to blood, causing a massive die-off of marine life and the destruction of countless ships. Could this event be caused by a celestial body, a volcanic eruption of global proportions? Whatever the cause, the consequences will be catastrophic. The situation intensifies when the third angel sounds his trumpet. A gigantic star called Absinthe rushes into the fresh water sources, contaminating a third of the water resources with a lethal bitterness. This contamination will result in countless deaths among those who consume these poisoned waters. The sounding of the fourth trumpet brings an alarming astronomical phenomenon. 1/3 of the celestial bodies, the sun, moon, and stars, have their luminosity drastically reduced. The consequences will be devastating: severe climate change, mass agricultural losses, and a deep despair gripping humanity. This description begs the question, are we already seeing the preludes to these events? Our planet is already facing unprecedented forest fires, alarming ocean degradation, and water shortages in several regions. The most disturbing thing is that, according to the scriptures, these are only the initial events. For those of you following this revelation, let your thoughts turn to, is the apocalypse already underway? Now, let's examine one of the book's most enigmatic prophecies. Chapter 13 of Revelation presents one of the most debated and feared prophecies in all of Scripture. In it, we find a description of an evil entity destined to exercise world domination in the final days. This force will be characterized by its cunning and capacity for seduction, exercising absolute control over economic and social systems. This entity is called the Beast, and its mark will be imposed on humanity. The Holy Scripture states, "And he compels all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their foreheads, so that no one may buy or sell except the one who bears the mark, the name of the beast, or the number of his name." There is wisdom here. Let him who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is a man's number. His number is 666. Revelation 13:16-18. What is the deep meaning of this prophecy? Throughout history, countless scholars have dedicated themselves to deciphering this enigma. The number 666 has already been associated with various elements, from ancient emperors to contemporary political systems, including world leaders and technological innovations. In today's digital and controlled age, this prophecy raises a crucial question. Are we approaching a globalized system where commercial transactions will depend on a universal identification system? Consider the current panorama. Digital transactions are becoming more and more prevalent. Physical money is gradually disappearing, and technologies such as microchip implants are already a reality. Could the mark of the beast manifest itself through a system that forces universal submission to centralized control? It is essential to understand that the acceptance of this mark transcends the economic issue. The scriptures indicate that those who receive it will effectively be declaring their submission to the beast and rejecting divine authority. It will be a moment of crucial decision to remain faithful to God or to submit to the system of the antichrist. This leads us to a profound reflection. Are we closer to this reality than we think? In a survival situation, would you accept submitting to such a system? Record your perspective in the comments and get ready, because the next topic will deal with something even more impactful: the 7 bowls of divine wrath. Chapter 16 of the Book of Revelation reveals an even more intense sequence of events. After the trumpets, the 7 bowls of divine wrath are manifested, representing God's final judgment on the world. These bowls are poured out in succession, unleashing a series of devastating events that will completely transform the face of the earth. The pouring out of the first cup causes severe and painful ulcers to appear, specifically afflicting those who have accepted the mark of the beast. Could this phenomenon manifest itself as an incurable illness, possibly a direct consequence of submitting to the Antichrist system? The second trumpet, when poured out, turns all ocean waters into blood, causing the complete extinction of marine life. Unlike the previous trumpet, which affected only a third of the oceans, now the transformation is total and absolute. Imagine the devastating impact of oceans completely devoid of life. With the pouring out of the third bowl, all sources of fresh water, rivers, lakes and springs are turned to blood. Humanity will face an unprecedented water crisis. How will it be possible to survive in a world without drinking water? The fourth bowl intensifies the power of the sun, which burns the inhabitants of the earth with extraordinary heat. Could this indicate a catastrophic climate collapse or an unprecedented solar event? Temperatures will become unbearable, causing environmental devastation on a global scale. The pouring out of the fifth bowl plunges the kingdom of the beast into deep darkness, generating intense distress and despair. This darkness transcends the physical aspect and also represents a spiritual dimension. Humanity will experience unparalleled anguish. The sixth bowl causes the river Euphrates to dry up, setting the stage for the Battle of Armageddon. Armies will gather for the final confrontation, where Christ himself will return to establish his definitive victory over the forces of evil. Finally, the seventh bowl is poured out, unleashing impressive celestial manifestations, thunder, lightning, and an earthquake of unprecedented magnitude. Global metropolises collapse, islands and mountains are completely transformed, and a gigantic hailstorm completes the divine judgment on rebellious humanity. This leads us to a profound reflection. What will be left after these events? The world as we know it will be completely transformed. For those who have rejected God, it will be the definitive end, but for those who have remained faithful, it will represent the beginning of a new reality. The fundamental question remains, where will you be when these events unfold? For those of you who have followed this far, say in the comments, "My choice is to be with God." Now, get ready for the outcome of this revelation, the last judgment and the new earth. After the whole sequence of cataclysmic events described in the book of Revelation, we have reached the decisive moment, the last judgment. At this climax, there will be a definitive separation between those who have remained faithful to God and those who have chosen to reject his salvation. The Apostle John, in chapter 20 of the book of Revelation, presents an extraordinary vision. "I beheld a majestic white throne, and him who sat on it, from whose presence earth and heaven fled away, and no place was found for them. I also saw the dead, great and small, standing before the throne. Books were opened, and yet another book, the book of life. The dead were judged according to their works, as recorded in the books." Revelation 20:11-12. In this solemn scene, all of humanity appears before the divine throne. Nothing will remain hidden, no action can be denied. Each individual will face judgment based on their choices, actions, and beliefs throughout their lives. Those whose names are not in the book of life will face their final fate in the lake of fire, where Satan, the beast, and the false prophet will also be cast, thus marking the definitive end of all evil. However, for those who have remained faithful to the Lord, a glorious promise is revealed. In chapter 21, John contemplates a magnificent vision, the New Jerusalem descending from heaven, prepared by God for his chosen ones. This heavenly city represents a kingdom where all suffering will be eliminated. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death, nor mourning, nor outcry, nor pain, for the old order has passed away. Revelation 21:4. This will be an entirely renewed universe, where the Creator himself will dwell in communion with his people. All known afflictions, conflicts, injustices, illnesses, sorrows will be completely extinguished. Faced with this revelation, the crucial question arises, where will you stand on this day? The Lord has given us these prophecies as a warning and preparation for the events to come. The decision, however, remains in our hands. We can ignore these signs, carrying on as if nothing is going to happen, or we can choose the path of faithfulness to God, becoming part of this glorious new reality. And you, what will your choice be? If this message has touched your heart, tell us in the comments, "I choose to remain with God." Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. Here, we share profound revelations from the scriptures that everyone needs to know. Share this message so that others can know these truths too. May God's blessing be upon you. See you in our next reflection.